A very good day to all of you, dear friends, and welcome to this session. In today's world, there's much talk and discussion about the psychosocial terms of self-image and self-esteem. These are hot topics. And I chose to also dwell on these two topics, but in two sessions. So today we'll have one part on self-image, and when I meet you again next time, we will discuss self-esteem. You will agree that you and I are unique. Even identical twins are not 100% identical. In fact, we are not carbon copies of one another. Manufacturers who make plastic dolls use a mold, and this mold can be used for thousands of dolls, each one being identical. But God created each one of us such that we did not come from any mold. As someone has said jokingly, if God used a mold, then after each person was created, He destroyed the mold. Yes, indeed, you and I are unique. No doubt, God created us in His own image and likeness, as we read in Galatians chapter 5, verse 1. Indeed, each of us is unique and one of a kind, having our unique personalities, our unique bodies, our unique mental characteristics, all of which define our self-image. In a research study that was carried out, the respondents were asked what they thought was the most important factor to happiness and well-being. They had to rate in order of importance certain traits like popularity, power, money, luxury, self-image, self-esteem, and so on. Surprisingly, a vast number of the respondents gave top priority to self-image and self-esteem, its counterpart, as the most important factor to happiness and well-being. So, what then is self-image? Self-image, to my understanding, is the thought or idea one has of oneself. Whereas self-esteem looks at this thought and idea and either gives it a thumbs up if it is good or a thumbs down if it is not good. So let's begin this discussion on self-image. I'm sure you and I have looked into a full-length mirror. What do we see there? Obviously, a reflection of ourselves. So, self-image is an idea, a thought, or a picture that you have of yourself in your mental mirror based on your appearance, your performance, your relationships, and a whole lot of other things which we shall see from time to time. Your self-image, which is how you see yourself, is important because it affects your behavior, your thinking, and how you relate to others. Self-image also determines your confidence in relating to others. And people will respond to you either positively or negatively according to how confident you are. I'd like to share with you an example of my relative who was raising a toast. He was lacking in confidence, and all the guests tried to listen for some time, but soon switched off. That's what happens when we are lacking in confidence. We've all heard of collective nouns. For instance, a herd of cows, a crowd of people, a gaggle of geese. The word self-image is like a collective term based on several self-images that have built up and accumulated since your childhood days. Thus, your self-image may be a negative one, a poor one, or unhealthy one, or it may be a positive, great, or healthy self-image. But mostly, it's a mix of both positive and negative. A positive self-image gives persons confidence in themselves and in their thoughts and actions. Whereas a negative self-image makes persons less confident in themselves, making them doubtful of their abilities or capabilities or of their ideas. I had this experience, and I'm sure you have had this experience too. Let us say a speaker or a teacher in class lays out a situation and asks, "What would you do in this situation?" The person with a positive self-image would speak up, unafraid of being wrong. Whereas the one with a negative self-image hesitates, and later, after listening to what the one with the positive self-image said, says to himself, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I wanted to say. So then, why didn't you say it?" That's what happens with us. Now, what are the factors that create a poor self-image in a person? There are many. I'll list out just a few. Firstly, parental comments made by father and mother. In an extreme example, a mother said to her child, "You were not planned. We wanted to abort you." You can imagine the shock to this child, and it created a very poor self-image. Parental comparisons are equally to blame in a poor self-image. A parent may say, "See how neat your sister is in her appearance, in the way she keeps her books, in the way she keeps her clothes," and so on. Likewise, comments by teachers contribute to a poor self-image, where they may say, "How stupid you are! You're a dunce! You're not fit to be in this class," and so on. Peers can also contribute to a poor self-image. I used to be on the plumper side in school, and I was called baby elephant. Another was called Kalia. Still another was called Langda, and so on. And all these, when addressed to persons with those disabilities or with those factors, it lowers their self-image. Neighbors can also contribute to a poor self-image. There was a time when a boy would visit a certain neighbor's family frequently. And one day, the mother asked this boy, "Did you steal our powder puff," or something like that? In other words, she was condemning him as a thief just because he was visiting their home frequently. That was my experience. That's why I said it. I'm not a thief, but I remember it made a very poor impression on me, and I vowed never to visit that family again. How sad, isn't it? As children, many of us believe in these negative comments and grow up feeling inferior and inadequate in our later life, in our relationships with bosses, with our spouse, and with others in authority. Fortunately for me, I came across this quote from Psalm 149, verse 4. It says, "The Lord takes delight in his people." The Lord takes delight in his people. So even if others condemn you, God does not. He delights in you. He takes pleasure in you. Some other contributory factors towards a poor self-image include poverty and financial difficulties at home. I often skipped going for the class picnic because we couldn't afford to pay the fees required for that picnic. Another factor is poor health. Still another, physical disabilities. And as I told you, children can be merciless in labeling and taunting their classmates. I told you about Kanya and Langda and Motu and baby elephant. And very often, teachers may even laugh when listening to these comments. No, we have to pull up those students. Thank God today, these things are slowly changing, including the language we use to describe physical disability. For instance, I once said, "Oh, that person is mad." And immediately I was pulled up and said, "No, you should not label anybody like that. That person has a mental disability or a mental illness." Yes, even in our language, we need to be careful. Strangely, one's self-image may not tally with the image that other people around you may have. Let me give you two concrete examples. People who have everything good looks, intelligence, financial success, may sometimes have a poor self-image. I remember a young, beautiful girl who suffered from anorexia. She thought she was getting fat, whereas she was really nice and slim. So she stopped eating to the point of becoming very sick. She had a poor image of her body. There are many actresses who also suffer from anorexia because they want to be slim and trim, but they suffer because of this poor self-image. On the other hand, those who have had a very difficult life, full of hardships, physical disabilities, may have a very positive self-image. You might have come across many cases of the blind, the deaf, those without limbs, etc., who have not let these disabilities come in the way of their self-image. They have followed what is in psychology called a defense mechanism of overcompensation. So what they were lacking, they developed more in that area. Some of you must have heard of Sudha Chandran. She was lame in one leg, or I should say one leg was amputated, but she went on to learn Bharatnatyam with a false leg and went on to win prizes and even took part in a film. But why I remember that was because for the first time I came across a disabled person who overcame her disabilities. A neighbor's daughter used to stammer a lot, but she went on to take part in elocution competitions, and no one would believe that she had a stammering problem. She overcompensated. Yes, friends, we can overcome disabilities and difficulties in life. There are others who totally put into practice the proverb, the adage, failures are stepping stones to success. Yes, indeed, failures can be converted into stepping stones to success. Let me give you my example. When I first went on stage in the 8th standard for an elocution competition, it was a total disaster. But by the grace of God and self-determination, I persevered in participating in such events and went on to win many certificates and prizes. And as an adult, I took part in a training program in public speaking and went on to become a trainer in public speaking. So from my first experience in the 8th standard, if I had said, no more, I will never go on stage, I would never be even speaking to you just now. In addition, I developed my language skills simultaneously, particularly in the area of articulating each word and pronouncing each word accurately, such that a classmate whom I met after many, many years thought I was faking it and putting on a British accent He teased me. Of course, we had a good laugh, but I told him, yes, I have changed, and now my accent has become second nature to me. I don't have to put on an accent. Now, why am I sharing this example and experience? It is because it leads me to my next point, which is, can self-image be improved? If so, how? Yes, I can emphatically say self-image can be improved. Several ways. For instance, take trouble to improve your physical appearance, the way you dress, your hairstyle. Groom yourself because it boosts your self-image. Work hard to take part in different events and do well. That will boost your self-image. It is said, nothing succeeds like success. You succeed once, and you will want to succeed again and again. But of course, let's not forget that success involves preparation, hard work, and effort. Thus, success through your hard work in school or in the workplace or in relationships helps you to develop a positive self-image. Another key factor in developing a positive self-image is self-acceptance. Your height, your weight, your body build, your body structure, whether you are thin or stout, your skin color, your physical characteristics. Let us learn to accept them. Self-acceptance is a great help in developing your self-image. And for those who do not accept themselves, I want to remind you that there are business houses who are capitalizing on your poor self-image. Take, for instance, Fair and Lovely. I'm told it's not working. Or if it works, you have to continue it for all your life. And ultimately your skin shrivels up and becomes dead skin. Sadly, many young girls go in for Fair and Lovely. And today, young boys too. Shah Rukh Khan and others are promoting Fair and Handsome. Where will all this nonsense end? There are things we can't easily change. Those are your physical characteristics. No doubt, in the modern world, maybe one can change things. So, for instance, you can have shoes with inbuilt elevators, so you look taller. Okay? Then there is surgery that is done to make your skin look nice and fresh. But how long will this continue? Ultimately, you'll have to face old age and its problems. I learned acceptance early. In school again, there was an audition for the Parents' Day dance. And many wanted to dance, including me. But since I was, as I told you, stout, I was not selected. I learned there and then that not everything is for me. Certain things I have to say, okay, I cannot participate in that. So self-acceptance. We've heard of Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote that appealing book, The Power of Positive Thinking. It became a bestseller, and it is still a bestseller today in the area of developing a positive self-image. Now, why was that so? Because he suggested several positive thought strategies for developing one's self-image. I loved his book. But today, there are many other writers who have also come up with many ideas on how to improve one's self-image. Let us consider some general ideas among the thousands of suggestions that are given on improving your self-image. I've named a few, but let's see some more. We should learn to accept the fact that we are human. We are capable of mistakes and flaws. We are not demigods. I liked this saying, there is no saint without a past, and there is no sinner without a future. Yes, friends, each of us has some skeletons in our cupboard, but that shouldn't stop us from going ahead in life. In the field of film production, our favorite movie stars may give what seems to be a perfect shot, but only the producer and director knows how many retakes were involved to get that perfect shot. Another factor, let's try humor. Let's take things lightly when it is about ourselves. Let's laugh with others at our mistakes instead of criticizing ourselves wholesale. I'm not saying laugh when others are criticizing your physical defects. No, I'm not saying that. But suppose you slipped and fell. It arouses laughter. Laugh with them, unless, of course, you have fractured your thigh or whatever. But there's need to be humorous. Go one step further. When you make a mistake, learn from your mistakes. Many people focus on one mistake they made, for example, in a speech, whereas everything else they said was near perfect. Let me show you what I mean. What do you see here? I'm sure many of you will say there's a black spot. But what about the white paper right around it? And that's what happens with us. We focus on the mistake, whereas there are so many other beautiful things we have done. So let us shift focus on to the good things that we have done. This will enhance our self-image. However, it's also important that we be realistic about our self-image. If I cannot sing, should I go for a singing talent competition? But that's what's happening. I was a judge at singing competitions because I sing myself, and I was shocked. There were singers who, in inverted commas, who could not get a note correct, and their voice was up and down. And I said, these people should have been kept out of the competition. So let me come back to this. We need to be realistic about our qualities. And remember, despite that, that even the best persons have their limitations. Hence, you should not sit on your laurels, as this can encourage pride and arrogance in you, which can tarnish your self-image. Or it can develop complacency in you, leading to underachievement. I've had this experience when I was doing my B.Ed. I was supposed to be the best student in my class, but I got a swollen head. I became proud and complacent, and when I finally approached my B.Ed final lesson, as we called it then, I reached 45 minutes late because I did not prepare myself thoroughly, and that last minute work kept me worried and apprehensive. Today I am very careful that I should be prepared before I undertake a task. So, finding the right balance between feeling good and positive about yourself and having realistic goals is important. Therefore, focus on what you can do and not on what you can't. It's an open secret that I am computer illiterate, but I openly declare I can give a great talk on the use of computers. Have you noticed what I said? I can do one thing, but I can't do another, because I'm aware, and that's part of my self-image. Self-image can be immensely tarnished when you hang on to memories of painful incidents in your life. For example, of rudeness and criticism and insults you faced in the past. You need to let go of these things and let God handle those who hurt you. It may sound trite or stupid, but it's extremely important to forgive and forget. I remember when I said this once, someone said, I can forgive, but I can't forget. We can. With effort, by the grace of God, we can. Otherwise, we can be stuck in the past and never move forward in life. Let me give you an example from my own past. This could have left me bitter with a poor self-image. But I chose to forgive and to work on the criticism, the insult I received. As I've said, perhaps in the past, having been a motherless child with a poor financial family background, I often went to school shabbily dressed, maybe untidy, unironed, maybe even dirty. And one day a certain teacher pulled me up in front of the entire class and asked me why I could not wash my own clothes. Mind you, I was upset that she said this in front of all the class. But today, I feel I learnt a lesson to be self-reliant. I didn't have to wait for my elder brother or elder sister or for my dad to wash my clothes. I asked for soap and I learnt to wash my clothes. I learnt to iron my clothes wherever possible. That is why till today I am gifted with being self-reliant. Whatever be the circumstance, God has given me the grace to take things in my stride, and that is part of my self-image. Another important consideration is to accept compliments if they are given, but to avoid fishing for compliments. Praise, compliments given, add to your self-image. And I'm sure you will agree that there is no one who doesn't like to receive praise and compliments. But sadly, quite often we doubt the motives of the person giving the compliment. Is he or she genuine? What do they want from me by paying me this compliment? Or even we may brush it off saying, there was nothing great in what I did. No. If you are complimented, be gracious and say, thank you. I appreciate your compliment. On the other hand, praise may be rare. What do you do then? If you genuinely want to improve yourself, then ask for feedback from worthy persons, persons whom you trust, persons who can give you genuine feedback. Take what they say with a grateful spirit, without needless arguing or justifying your actions. However, the most important self-image boosting feedback is not from others, but it is from the one you give yourself. When you can genuinely say, I did the best I could. I did the best I could. Thank you, my God. Yes, friends, there's much more that I have to add, and I just want to end by telling you that you and I, having been created in the image and likeness of God, God loves us. We are precious to Him. And Isaiah chapter 49, verses 14 and 15 says, God says this to us, I have inscribed you, I have carved your name on the palm of my hand. You are precious to me. So even if a mother forgets her baby, I, your God, will not forget you. So, friends, whether we have a poor self-image or not, we need to remember we are children of God. He loves us. He gives us our self-image. We will meet again next week with more on this, where I will focus especially on the counterpart of self-image, namely self-esteem. Goodbye and God bless you.